CURES is sponsored by Wheeler Health's Better Choice program. More at wheelerhealth.org.
Helping you lead a healthier life. This is CURES.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CURES TV show and podcast. I'm Kara Sundlin, and this is where we bring you cutting-edge wellness from credible sources for your mind, body, and spirit, especially your spirit today. At the time of this show, the spring equinox is happening tomorrow. And, the ancients knew about this as a time that we would refresh, set new intentions, clear out the old, but perhaps some of that ancient wisdom could really help us in our modern day. So I am so excited to have best-selling author and spiritual teacher Rebecca Campbell here to teach us about some powerful rituals so that we can release and manifest. Rebecca, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Kara. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here.
Yes, this is, for those who are perhaps even reading just in popular culture all over our feeds, they're saying this is a really powerful time. We're between two eclipses. So even if you don't pay much attention to astrology, it's almost these days, it's a little harder to escape. You see it everywhere. But this is something you've really devoted so much time to writing and understanding. For the average person out there, how does the eclipse affect us? Do we all need to be aware of these special energies right now?
Yeah, for sure. So we've just moved out of a lunar eclipse, and then in a couple of weeks, we've got a solar eclipse. And then tomorrow is the equinox. The thing about all these things is we're not separate to nature. And so whether it's the moon, the stars, or the seasons shifting, it affects us individually, regardless of whether we think about it. So you may have found yourself around this time of year doing spring cleaning or clearing out your wardrobe. With the eclipses in particular, perhaps there've been like relationships or conversations that have needed to be had in some relationships in your life. Generally with eclipses, it's things that have been hidden become revealed. Okay. So yeah, it could be finding out about news that you didn't know about, or it might be having a conversation with someone that you've been holding back for a while, for example.
Okay. So it might be really a time of transformation and renewal. I know sometimes we get afraid about change as humans. We kind of want things to stay the same, but sometimes these changes can bring in welcome steps. What are some active things we can do to really help our transformation process during the time of this spring equinox?
Well, the spring equinox really marks the beginning of spring. So they say it's about balance and harmony because the light and dark are in balance. So for example, when you wake up in the morning, it's a little bit brighter than it was before. And so this is all about saying yes to what spring is beckoning forth within you. So you might want to be like, what new seeds do I want to plant within myself or in my life as I move into spring and summer. And I think just naturally we know that if you're a gardener, you probably are literally planting seeds or planting bulbs at this time of year. A really simple ritual you can do is like a gratitude ritual where you literally just light a candle, and some prompts that you can give yourself is like, what has winter taught me? What have those darker months taught me? And then what am I ready to welcome in this next season of my life? So what new seeds do I want to plant? That's a really simple way of doing it. And I love those simple rituals because you can do it with a friend, you can do it with your kids, you can do it with your mom, just by asking those questions. So what has winter taught you? How have you changed over the past 3 months? And what do you want to plant? What new seeds do you want to plant in the next season of your life?
And you mentioned the eclipses that we just had one. We have another one coming up, plus the equinox. But there's rituals that you talk about in your books and in your teachings for releasing and for manifesting. So let's also talk about if you've had a lot of stress or some negativity or a pattern that you really just don't want to see repeated. You say we might want to write something down and burn it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what am I ready to release? You write that down, you burn it, and then what am I wanting to manifest or step into? And you can write that on a piece of paper and then potentially create something beautiful with it, right? So you might put it on your kitchen bench, or you might put it on your mirror. You can put it on a Post-it note, but really somewhere where you're going to really see it each day. what that thing is, that new seed that you are wanting to plant.
So just to be clear, so if you want to do this, they would write down, I'm ready to release, maybe the prompt is, I'm really ready to release. A lot of people are worried about money right now. Maybe it's, I'm really ready to release this feeling of lack or problems with my finances. You would burn that. And then how would you make the next phase something beautiful? I want to make sure people understand that.
So get a strip of paper or even a Post-it note and write what you want to step into, what you want to call in on it. And then I'd recommend putting it somewhere that you're going to be able to see it. So it might be on a mirror, or you could create what I call an altar. An altar, all it is bringing something into the physical. So, and if you've got kids, you can create it with them. Maybe you put a little flower there. Maybe you might get a little statue or an object, a piece of fruit, something like that. Whatever you've got around the house to bring to life what you're wanting to manifest.
Okay.
And then each day as you pass it, as you're going out to work or whatever, you kind of look at it and maybe repeat in your mind or even whisper out loud what you are wanting to call in, and then say thank you, thank you, thank you, as if it is coming, it is happening.
As it's already happened. We're giving gratitude for something as if it's already happened. For difficult relationships, I actually noticed this with someone close to me. A sudden relationship just ended for them, and I thought about, as I was reading your information, I'm like, interesting that it happened just now. But for difficult relationships, you say you might want to actually freeze a piece of paper with their name written on it.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that, particularly if it's like if it's a relationship which is just causing you a lot of grief and you're just wanting to like create some distance in it. Write their name, wish them the best as well. I think this is really important. And you can also do this for an old pattern. Like if there's something you're like, oh my gosh, I really, really, really want to let this thing go. Write it down on a piece of paper and then place it. You're just in a Tupperware container with some water and put it in the freezer. And then it's like you're kind of like cutting yourself off from it.
And these physical rituals that you write about and encourage people to do, they might seem like, well, how is that really going to help me? Is there something energetic that's going on? Is it our intention? Why do these rituals help us? I mean, they've been used really throughout time.
What happens is, you know, when you've got something that you want to create and it's just going around and round in your head, or a problem that you're trying to solve, and it's like you're not moving the energy. When you bring it into the physical, you move it, you create transformation. This is really change. And so you're bringing it into the physical. This is really important. What makes it supercharged if you also share it with someone? So you're stating your intention and then together you're doing it. So yeah, it's super, super powerful if you can do it with someone as well.
Okay. So perhaps with your spouse or your friend. I mean, you were saying these are not, they don't have to be super, spooky things. These are like, lighting a candle, marking. I know some of the yoga classes now around town will have a special Equinox yoga class where, the idea of releasing the old and welcoming in the new. So much of this, you say, is really putting us in sync with nature. This is what the world is doing right now in springtime. We're having new life.
Yep, exactly. And it's really our disconnection from nature that I think leaves us so stuck. If we are to actually think about it, the most natural thing in the world is change. The seasons teach us that. The tides as it roll in and out, the moon as it waxes and wanes every single month. We are connected to that. And when we try and cling on to things and resist change, doesn't mean change is easy, but the more we resist change, the more stuck and rigid our lives become. And so, yeah, the more we can embrace the seasons and say, okay, cool. So we're out of winter. The flowers are starting to bloom, and then ask ourselves, what's wanting to bloom within me? Same thing when fall comes, those leaves are falling. We go for a walk outside, let's say, and we can see the leaves falling and be like, well, what am I clinging to? What am I ready to release or loosen my grip on? The seasons are the greatest teachers that there is. And the ancients, all of our ancient ancestors lived in harmony with nature. And so if we can just look to the seasons and then let it guide us a little bit, our life will be completely transformed.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's a wonderful practice that people can inspire hope. I know the world is a little bit crazy right now. People are feeling a lot of fear with all the different changes that people are seeing around the world. What do you suggest for people who are feeling just fearful right now?
Mm, mm. I would say develop some kind of practice that helps you feel some kind of safety and grounding.
Mm.
It might be literally walking in nature. It might be a meditation, or even something as simple as hold one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, taking 3 deep breaths. The more that you can find safety in your body rather than looking outside of yourselves, no one can take that away from you. And so no matter how crazy the winds blow, and the tides go, you'll always be safe within.
We're having Employee Appreciation Day here today. And I love
Hmm.
that, in our break room, and I think this probably wouldn't have happened, 15 years ago, but there's literally little bags of crystals spread out for people to
Mm.
take just to inspire them
Oh.
about resilience and bringing in positive things. So a lot of these spiritual practices are becoming more mainstream, wouldn't you say?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing to realize is that they're so ancient and we're just remembering. So it's like it's not this like new thing. It's actually the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, and so let's just talk about that. Actually, one of our directors was like, yes, I know where those crystals are. I'm going to bring one out. But we've got three and there's meaning. And I saw people looking at them. I love crystals, but for people who don't
Mm.
use them a lot, um, I had another author tell me a crystal is a permission slip to come to a higher vibration of energy. But if you want to incorporate these kinds of things in your life, how do you use crystals or why are they important for our energy vibration?
Mm. Well, to start with, crystals are nature. They're literally of Earth. They're created by Earth. So it's good to remember that. And second of all, each crystal has a different color. It's just so beautiful. And so trust which one you're drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
They all have a different meaning, like rose quartz, which is a soft pink, is self-love. And then there's clear quartz, which is really about manifesting and holding a high vibration. But I always say, just trust the one that you're drawn to because it might be the color. Oh, what do you got there?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to bring him out. So I want to show everyone at
Okay.
home. I mean, this is amazing, right? This is employee appreciation here at WFSB, mainstream news station here. And they put out some tea and crystals. And we have, let's see, lapis for wisdom, intuition, and clarity, amethyst for stress relief, protection, and disperse negative energy, and aventurine for luck, healing, and imagination. I think right now I'm kind
Mhm.
of drawn to the green one, which is for the good luck and adventure. But so let's just say you have one of these at home.
Mm,
What,
mm.
what would you do? Something simple to maybe celebrate the equinox and
This, yeah, so the simple thing I would do is put it in a cup of water and leave it in the sun, and
oh,
then you can drink it. And so it's almost like you're literally inviting that quality into your life.
really? So just drop
Don't
this in
drink
your
the
water.
crystal though. You take the crystal out before you drink it. Yeah.
Okay, so but it's like you're imbuing the water with the
Yeah,
qualities.
a crystal infusion it's called.
Crystal
Uh-huh.
infusion. I love it. Okay.
Hmm.
You also say, and I bring this up because here in Connecticut, the roses will go into bloom in June. We have a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
rose park that people come from all over the world to Elizabeth Park to see these roses.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing, if you like roses, maybe you could buy some now. But you say there's something we can do with a rosebud thorn seed exercise. What's that?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this exercise is so you just imagine now, whether your eyes are open or closed, just imagine a rose in front of you, and this rose represents how you're changing, the different parts of your life that are in bloom, the things that are falling away. And this is all about really embracing change and saying yes to rebirth as well. So first of all, you go to the rose, like the big full bloom flower part, and you say, looking at the rose, what's blooming in my life right now? What's blooming in my life right now? And you might be like, okay, what's blooming for me is my career or a particular relationship. The bloom really represents the season of summer. Then you go to the bud. The bud represents spring, which is very equinox. And you'd say, what's inspiring me right now? What am I excited about? And we know that spring energy. It's like the bud, it's bursting to come out. You know the bloom's coming, but it's not quite ready. So what am I inspired about? What's bloom? What am I excited about? And so that might be a new relationship, it might be a creative project you're working on. Then you go to the thorn. So the thorn, people are like, I don't want to go to the thorn, but the thorn actually protects the rose, and it also makes sure that we are able to step into those new seasons. So it really represents challenges that we might be having. And so this is really good for us to take note of, like, what's challenging, what feels a bit stuck for me right now. So just acknowledging that. And then finally, the seed. What requires nurturing or tender care? And again, that might be a relationship. It might be a part of us, like your health, for example. Maybe it's one of your kids. And so it's just a really simple check-in process that allows us to, first of all, check in with where we are, how we're doing. And it's also a great one to do around the dinner table or with a girlfriend if you're catching up, because it's like you're asking these questions and they can like properly tune in and give you a proper update rather than just talking about the blah, blah, blahness of, the latest drama in life.
So the rosebud thorn seed is, I want to clip that, and that way people can find it, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to have a real rose. It might be something you're imagining. Or you could have a real rose, but the idea of just thinking of those parts to represent these parts of your life.
Exactly.
So you also, I noticed behind you, you have some beautiful things laid out. One of the things you suggest, we don't have to be a spiritual author to create an altar. Pretty much all the wisdom traditions in the world, different religions have different ways of doing this. Why do you think it's important for us at home to maybe embrace the idea of creating an altar? And it doesn't have to be religious.
Yeah, totally. So an altar is basically an altered space. So if you have something you want to manifest, if you have something you really want to cultivate, you can create something physical. So you're bringing something like a dream, for example, into the physical. And it can be simple. It can be just like a flower and a candle. It could be, I love oracle cards. So I'll often pick an oracle card that represents what I'm wanting to call in. You can draw a picture, but it's basically bringing things that aren't in the physical into the physical. And then every time you pass that, you do what I call feed your altar. And you feed it by lighting the candle or with your energy, by imagining that thing that you're wanting to create.
I love cards as well. Every now and then I'll pull one. I don't have yours yet, but I want to let people know also, I mean, you've been writing many best-selling books. You're the founder of the Inner Temple Mystery School. You also offer Oracle Card Reader Certification. I think I have a copy of your latest book. I hope it's your latest one to put up that people can, Your Soul Had a Dream. Your Life Is It. How to be held by life when it feels like everything is falling apart. I think we all need that. But I love your title. And for those who are spiritually inclined, explain from your perspective how you think it works. Sometimes we get so caught up in the details of life, but that often the challenges we're going through or this life we're living was actually, in your view, an intention your soul wanted to create. This was a very intentional life that you're living right now.
Yeah, and I think these times that we're living in, they're so extreme with all the division, with everything that is happening right now. And I do believe that many of us chose to be here now. And maybe you've had those feelings where you meet someone that it feels like, oh my gosh, I know them, even though you've just met them. Maybe you have those feelings of like, oh, there's this thing, this dream that I have, and there's no reason for me to have it, but I just know that that's what I'm here to do. It's those little things in our life. I call them soul whispers, those inner knowings. And I believe that we all have them. And if we connect in with that part of us, which I call the soul, you could call your heart, that it is guiding you to your dream life.
I love that. I love that. We're going to take a moment and hear from one of our sponsors. And then when we come back, I want to talk about so many of us have perhaps started embracing this later in life. But if you're a mom, how we might be able to infuse these really wonderful concepts with our kids. So let's take a moment and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll hear what Rebecca has to say about that.
Struggling with gambling? Wheeler Health's Better Choice program offers personalized support and treatment to help you regain control. Visit WheelerHealth.org to learn more and take the first step towards recovery today.
We're back now with Rebecca Campbell. Her books and oracle decks have been translated into 20 different languages. I know your work can be found in all corners of the globe. You're coming to us right now from the UK, so we appreciate that by the magic of Zoom. If you have children, and sometimes teens may not want to hear this, or maybe they'll be really into it, what do you think we can do to kind of open our children to that inner voice that we all hope that they can listen to, and that they can listen and learn from their soul lessons?
I think the best way is to get them to be able to voice what their heart is saying. A great way to do it is place your hand on your heart and say, my heart wants me to know that, or my heart is feeling like. And so giving voice to those inner feelings is the best way. So many of us from a young age were taught that we're not creative, or to ignore our intuition and like push down our feelings. And so the more you can allow them to feel safe with their feelings and safe to voice that inner voice, the better off they're going to be when it comes to following the call of their soul.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this, one of the reasons we booked this interview today is because the equinox happens at 5:01 tomorrow. A lot of people might be more interested in astrology, but it's not that things are being forced upon us. This is more the weather or these opportunities or certain points where we might want to be more aware. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of things happening with the planets right now, and most astrologers are like going, oh my gosh, this is unprecedented. But the thing is, we always have new moons, full moons, seasonal shifts, and we are part of nature. And so like we experience them regardless of whether we're conscious to them. I find that very often you'll feel it and then you'll discover it's a full moon, for example. I know my whole house, no one in my house sleeps on a full moon. And if you're not aware it's a full moon, the next day you'll work it out and be like, oh, that's why, So you don't have to be spiritual minded to be affected by this. And I think the other thing to realize, there's a lot of talk with Mercury retrograde, the eclipses and all of that. And some people get a bit fearful by it, but really we're just connected to the cosmos. Like Earth is part of the cosmos, we're part of the Earth. And so becoming aware of what's happening around us, I think just helps us maybe feel a little less crazy when we are affected by it.
I totally relate to the full moon. Maybe it's because I'm a Cancer, but I don't.
Yeah.
I always say that on the show. I'm like, I couldn't sleep. It was full moon, and my co-host would be like, what is you and the moon? But that is normal, right? I mean, I always say like the moon controls the tides. It might have an effect on humans too.
Totally, exactly. We're more than 50% water, so of course we're affected by it. And I actually find people who aren't necessarily spiritual minded can be like so affected by it. Like my husband and my son, like men, I find are even more affected by the full moon than even women. I don't know why that is the case scientifically, but I've really seen that happen.
So as we have just a few minutes left, and I want to bring up your book one more time, just because I know people can get this everywhere, and you do take a deeper dive. You've been writing so many books for so many years. I love the title of this one. Your soul had a dream. Your life is it. How to be held by life when it feels like everything is falling apart, by Rebecca Campbell. I know people can find you on YouTube, social media, and oracle cards. There's also I also tend to veer away from all this negativity when you see it on YouTube or other places that like, major shift, beware. I just don't like that. But I also am hearing, and I'd love to know for someone that this is your life and this is your expertise, that we're be giving an opportunity, that things are really shifting. And as crazy as it looks out there, we also have an opportunity that there's a lot more light coming to the planet, and what that means. And for even those who hadn't heard that term before, that we're living in kind of special times.
Absolutely. And when we have these opportunities like seasonal shifts, like eclipses, like full moons, it's about embracing the opportunity of them so that we can together, like come back together as one and also tune into what our soul is calling us to do.
How do we let our soul talk to us? I love that your title says Your Soul Had a Dream. I'll share one thing I like to do when I'm journaling. I'll say, my soul wants me to know. And I'm always a little surprised what comes out. I'm like, whoa, did I just write that? But if people want to hear more and connect to their spirit, their soul, their intuition, whatever word you want to use, what's something practical they could do to really, maybe they're trying to make a tough decision and they want to know what do I really need to do here?
Yeah, totally. So journaling is my number one way particularly when you got things in your head and you're wanting to get it down and to get guidance of like, what do I do next, particularly with decisions. So I love your prompt. Another one I do is, my soul is calling me to, and then you just literally fill the page. You may at first be like, this is stupid. I need a coffee. I don't want to do this. But eventually what you'll find, if you do fill that page, you will reach a part of you where the truth comes in. And then once you've got that, just look at what you've written, circle the thing that feels the clearest, and then always say it's all, because you don't want to just like keep it here in the ethers where it's like this big kind of dream. You want to be like, okay, how can I act on it today in a practical way? So I'd say, what's one baby step I can take today to act on this? And it should be something that'll take you 30 seconds, 60 seconds, max 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Right. So it's not just about thinking. I know when people read The Secret, they think of manifest, like, I thought it didn't happen. This doesn't work. But the idea of taking inspired action, maybe it's just sending an email.
You've got to act on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Otherwise it's not going to come, like we're humans in a physical world, soul embodied. So we got to act on it over and over and over again. And then the path really does appear.
So in our final 90 seconds together, do you have a message you'd love everyone to just think of when we're talking about these powerful times like the equinox?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just place your hand on your heart and just be like, what new seed do I want to plant over the next 3 months? What do I want to see bloom? And just what's a really simple baby step you can take to act on that today?
And that's a powerful time to do this. I guess we know farmers, like you said, are literally planting seeds, but it's a good time for all of us to just take a step back from our busyness and connect in.
Yeah. Planting those seeds physically and metaphorically. Maybe you'll plant a physical seed to represent what you're wanting to grow in your life as well.
All right. I love it. We'll show you the book one more time in case you want to take a deeper dive with Rebecca. It's Your Soul Had a Dream. Your Life is It. Rebecca Campbell, thank you so much. I know you have many other ways to teach people and help them understand all of these ancient practices that I think are great for the modern day world as well. Can you shout out your website or your YouTube or where you think people should go to get more information?
Yeah, head over to RebeccaCampbell.me, and I'm on Instagram, Rebecca_Campbell_author. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you, Rebecca. Have a wonderful spring season. We appreciate you sharing your time. And for everyone watching at home, please like and subscribe to the podcast or share this if you're watching on social media. Have a great day and be well.
CURES is sponsored by Wheeler Health's Better Choice program. More at wheelerhealth.org.